recording bass, guitar to bass simulation. I've got bass guitar, and must admit, I do tend to just use the guitar amp simulation. I actually find it's quite good, you know. It sort of sits in, like, you know, let's face it, the bass is a nightmare to record with, the low frequencies. This environment, monitors, everything, all that comes around with. And I've actually found that to ensure a good bass sound, what I do, I'm going to start doing it more often, is this at me Zoom 234 has bass sounds on it, and the only problem is, obviously, you've got to work out the, you know, there's less you can do unless it's a simple song, because each one of these is a note, you know, bass note, so it's a bit of a headache. But the sound is just the frequencies of the sound are spot on with the drums, and of course, like, you know the bass is at the right level of recording, because it mixes in with the drums, so you don't have to touch the volume out, don't touch any of that, just you record your drum track, finger drums I do, and then I can record on other tracks the bass, and I know, without touching any volumes, I know that they're going to sit well with each other, and they're going to work through any speakers anywhere in the world, because that's what the boffins work that all out for. Which is why I think I might end up getting a synth workstation or something, and doing drums and bass, a lot of drums and bass on a synth workstation, just to cut out all that aggro. You know, I just want to get a bass sound down, you know, that's all. But if this was easier to use, maybe, you know, for bass sounds, for more notes and like a keyboard is, then, you know, that would be better. But for the time being, you know, this is great. I'm sticking. I tend to stick with, if I'm going bass, like, I'm not really playing I love playing the bass. The bass is fantastic, and the bass is an art. You have to be able to play the bass properly. You know, not playing the bass like as if it's just a guitar. No, a bass is a bass, and there's a way of style of playing a bass, whether you're with your fingers or you're with the pleck. Although I would use the pleck really, like, if you're going to do guitar to bass effects. So the bass is a whole different way of playing, you know, than just playing the guitar. If you're recording bass, actually, to a track, like, say you're going guitar to bass, or you're just going bass into a song, record it and then listen, and then try and, if you can, try and play it a lot simpler, and listen to some bass players, how they're playing, and play it how a bass player would play it, and you'll find that it'll change your song. It'll completely up the song and completely just tighten it and become professional sounding. It's less is more on the bass, absolutely. Depending on the band, obviously, like a Geddy Lee is integral to what the Rush sound is. But I think in most music, most styles of music, though, the bass is the glue in between the drums. You know, the glue in between the drums. So I find that this just works. You know, it just works. I mean, if I can just set up here now. I was having that recording. I'll just set a drum beat going. All this is just coming through my Zoom Q8 camera. I'm not messing about here, and it's just come through the condenser microphones. So, because, you know, I'm just having a bit of a talk, that's all. So if I can set up a drum beat, whatever comes up, right, just a basic drum beat. I think on the Boss here, if I set it to like 72 or 3 is usually a simple beat. Right, it is a simple beat, and I think I'll make the drums sound less clanky like that. I like the room reverby sound on the inbuilt drums on the Boss Micro BR80. So if I have a look, and if I press that and then I press that, I can move to room reverb drums. And that's I always thought that was good. I always thought that was perfectly acceptable. That. Now I've got the bass sound. Now that's more like, well, that's like a bass player. How you see what I mean? It's just boom, boom, boom. So, you know, you don't really want to be going. You know, although that sounds all right. Just depending on which type of song it is. If it was more of a sort of like, but I tell you what though, in any type of song, if you're playing the bass how it really should be playing, it's gonna ping in the mix, like it's gonna make everything sound a lot better. Like there's no rules. You just try a few things, and you will hear it. You'll hear it. There's another thing is if you're recording using these effects, right? Apparently, single coils are good for guitar effects, right? They are like, but if you're recording bass, doesn't matter if you're on single coils or humbuckers, you keep it on the treble at the bottom, the bridge, right? That's where you're gonna get your sounds. Because you would think doing a bass, well, I'll put it up on the bass setting, because I've done this, but it doesn't. It just mushes it all. It's too much. So you can just put it down on the bottom, and you can just roll off the volume a little bit, just to stop maybe the humbuckers, whatever guitar you've got, maybe just overpowering it a little bit. I just tend to smidge it down to 8 or something like that. And I think that's perfectly acceptable myself. Like what I like to use on the Boss BR80 is the fretless bass. I just think that works with literally everything, you know, any style of music. Like the other ones I find to be a bit pushy, like, you know. I just want the bass to sit in the mix. That's all. I just want it to warm the mix up really a little bit, just to see if I grow, you know. And that's about it, really. That's how I've decided and found to use the guitar with a Boss BR80. Remember, I'm not a producer here. All I'm doing is just showing people how I do things, record. That's all it is. And you know, at the end of the day, I could say it's not rocket science, but it is. It's an absolute nightmare recording. Doesn't matter where you are, what environment you're in, you've got to sweat blood to do it, like, you know. And we all know, we all feel the pain, and all you got to do is just, you know, if you enjoy it, you'll stick with it, and you do get a lot out of it. Certainly, you know, it's such a wonderful thing to be able to do is to record music, you know. As a kid, I was like, when I was wanting to, my thing was always, I'm looking at the guitar sleeves, the album sleeves of like Led Zeppelin, right? And I'm looking, Jimmy Page, you know, he's writing the songs, he's playing the guitar, and he's producing it as well. And I'm like 12-year-old looking at the album, oh God, he's producing it as well. And at that age I was always aware of like you know, George Martin with the Beatles, you know, producing the Beatles and the production. So for me it was always, you know, rock and roll was always really about, you know, guitar shaped swimming pools, but also about recording in the studio, seeing a bit of the world. So that's always been there with us all my life, and it's something I'll always do. And you do the best you can to your best ability, and that's all you can do really. We live in a world where it's good because, you know, we're at a time now, and I think it's brought on by YouTube and that as well. People like to, you know, they'll watch any sort of live performances, and we know what it sounds like, you know, but you know, people still enjoy it, you know. See, people are listening, watching videos and stuff differently to how we are as musicians and producers, you know. I think they it's different for them. So, you know, I think the thing is not to put too much pressure on yourself. Have where you think you want to get to with your and just get to that point, because, you know, really most people are just going to they're listening to the song, the melody and the performance, you know. So get that right and do the best you can with your productions. That's all I do. You know, it doesn't matter what sort of environment you're recording in. You know, you've got to set yourself, I'm happy with that and I'm going to live with that, because most people be just, yeah, it's okay, that like that, you know, you're doing well, you know. That's it. So thanks for watching. Like I always say, subscribe, thumbs up, and hit that like button. It helps us out a lot. Okay, all the best now. Cheers, thanks for watching, and stick in there. I nearly played a Fleetwood Mac there. I better not.